So in 1962, a woman by the name of Hortense Strom, where's Stan? There you are, Stan. Right, the mother of Stan Strom decided that she wanted to create a new synagogue community. And from those early beginnings in their living room, a synagogue community was created. For the first 12 years, most often in a church, they would have services. And then in 1974, this property was built on, purchased a little bit earlier. So 50 years of Jewish life here at 6025 Valley Circle. What's first, by the way, the synagogue in 74 was built. Lubin Hall, the last small hall, was the sanctuary social hall. That was it. And the 10 classrooms that were there, 8 of them were for classes, and the other 2 were for administrative needs, for the rabbi, for others. How many of you have been here long enough to remember that? Raise your hand. Wow. Wow. You were here at the very beginning 50 years ago. And then in the mid-'80s, the extension was built, what became Titus Hall, and the sanctuary here, the Frank Galleria, and all of the other integral parts of the building. And then in 93, right before it finished, I arrived in 93. Right before then, the administration building was built. And that's how, one piece at a time, this community was put together. Let me ask, how many of you in those 50 years, how many of you celebrated, not your child, but how many children here celebrated, how many people as a child celebrated a bar bat mitzvah? Raise your hand. Wow, look around. Wow, that's amazing. All right, how many, put your hands down, how many parents, how many of you were parents who celebrated your child's bar bat mitzvah here? Okay, put your hands down. Did anybody celebrate, I know there's a couple, a wedding inside the sanctuary? Inside the sanctuary, or anywhere in the last 50 years here? Okay. How about a baby naming? Wow. Look at that. How many of you in the last 50 years, I know there's going to be a lot of hands, I imagine, have been here to recite Kaddish for a loved one? Yeah. 50 years of simchas and sorrows, the ups and downs of life. 50 years this has been the Jewish home for many, many people. It's not easy to leave one's Jewish home. It is not. Many of you who are here so long ago have built this place. So how do we find strength? How do we understand this moment? For me, I often find strength in the Torah. And I don't know how it is the Torah so often speaks of the moment that we're in and somehow helps me understand and get through that moment. And so, the Israelites, we've been reading, have been at Mount Sinai. They've been there about a year. For about a year, they have been gathered around, and they have become a community. They left Egypt as, if you will, a group of people that were not connected, each one on their own. He's so unhappy, right, about losing his home. Some people, it's just hard. By the way, I'm not sure when it's going to hit me. I brought my own handkerchief. It hasn't hit. I know there's going to be a moment sometime in the next 10 days and when it's going to hit. But the Israelites are at Mount Sinai, and there, through the Torah, through the experiences, through living together, they become a community. They become the Jewish people at Mount Sinai. It's in our portion that we read this week that the Israelites leave Mount Sinai. I don't know about you, that concurrence strikes me as very powerful. We read in the portion of this week The words that many of you know when we take out the Torah, when we open the ark by heaving so haron. I know the Hebrew, I have to read the English. Right? It says, where are you? I know that English so well. Rise up, O Lord. Advance, and may your enemies be scattered, and may your foes flee before you. How moving it is that this week, as we read about the ark being lifted up and the Israelites moving forward, our ark doors were moved. The reason those curtains are closed is because the ark doors that we have come to love here, and by the way, not for 50 years, closer to about 15 years, but those etched doors have come to feel like our Mount Sinai. And this week, the very week we read this portion, those doors were transported to a new location, to our new home, to wait for us to come and to join it. One of the most important lessons that the Israelites learned at Mount Sinai, it was such an important lesson, is that Jewish life is not fixed and located and limited to one place. After 1 year of being, almost a year, and just as Shomrei Torah and Aliyah came together about a year ago, ready to move forward now as a new entity, a new understanding. The Israelites, in the wilderness, at the Mount Sinai, they built the tabernacle, they built the ark, they put the tablets in the ark, they built the menorah, they built everything that they would need to prepare themselves not to stay there, but to move forward. If you don't know this, many understand the tabernacle is the vehicle by which that you took God and moved God with us from Mount Sinai to take with on our journey. Jews throughout history, you know this, what are we called? The wandering people. Why? Because throughout history we have had to adapt and to move. Otherwise it would mean extinction very often. In great wisdom, our communities have come together to work and to build towards the future. But it's not easy for new beginnings, is it? And so how do we deal with that sense of loss? Doesn't matter whether you've been here for 50 years, 31 years like me, or just a couple of years. If this has become your Jewish home, it's hard to move. It's hard to leave and to let go. Tonight is part of the beginning of saying goodbye, letting go, and acknowledging the new journey that we're on. As I've been struggling with the change in the Torah study class this week that Rabbi Cameron and I teach on Thursdays. By the way, if you want to study Torah anytime, Thursdays at 12 o'clock, you can log on with us. One of the congregants, we were talking about change, shared these beautiful words of wisdom about change. In order to get something new, one has to give something up. It struck me. The change doesn't come without a price often. And whether you understand it, whether you believe, whether you go through the process of that change, it is so painful sometimes. And I've sat many of you with tears in your eyes already about what it means to leave. But to know the soul that was generated here on this property, we're going to take that with us. It's not the building that defines a community. It's not the doors that you have. It's not the pews that you have. It's not the stained carpet that you have. It's what you did there that you take with you, and you can never let go of. I'm feeling it. So let me ask, we're going to finish this up. I'm going to ask you, by generation, if you will, and I'll call it out. You're going to stand, and together as a community, we're going to share Shechianu. acknowledging the sanctity of all that we've shared. So if you were here in the 70s and 80s and part of the community and sharing Jewish life here, I'd like you to stand up. Those of you 70s and 80s, stay standing. If you came in the 90s, 1990s, I'd like you to rise, please. And by the way, stay standing. Whether you were an official member or not, if you were here in those moments of sharing community, you qualify. It's not just about being a member, because this place was more than just for members. If you, sometime in the 2000s, were here to share Jewish life, I want you to stand. If you came in the first decade of the 2000s, I want you to stand up. If you came in the second decade of the 2000s, I want you to stand up. If you came within the last 4 years, I want you to stand up. I want you to feel the love and the power of what community is about. We're not leaving it here. We're going to take it with us like the Israelites. We're going to hold on to it. It's going to be part of our new home, and it's going to be a blessing. Let's join together. Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kima Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Here we go. No instruments. Here we go.
Amen. One more time. Amen. Give it all you got.